Hi, this is Audit Imagination for the Healing Garden. I am really taking in the holiday today. If you are new to my channel, I am a philosopher, sociologist, psychologist of 30 years. And this is the space where I daily provide people with healing information of the three aspects of healing: the defined self, logical health, and story health. My research and my work is based 100% on logic and philosophy, as opposed to the current traditional psychological resources. And I use a lot of physics. Like, most of my work is physics based. If I can't prove it using physics and mathematics, then I don't use it. And we're at the solstice, and I took energy. And here's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, there's magical powers in the energy in the solstice. It's not in the universe, it's in us. It's because the majority of us right now on Christmas Day is actually practicing what I like to call world peace. This is actually what it looks like. You have a lot of people who are engaging in what I call the emotional transaction, the 4 stages of gifting. Human connection is only possible through gifting. It's gifting, receiving, gratitude, receiving. Yeah, gifting, receiving, gratitude, and then openness. And when you have that 4 combinations of emotions, that is human connection. And between family, kin, and engaging in the gifting, the receiving, the gratitude, abundance, joy, openness, human connection, combined with food and drink, you have this gorgeous concoction of human connection happening, where almost the majority of us are spending the day dumping out these very healthy emotions. And this basically, because the majority of us are doing it, it opens up, and it's a wave through the entire planet right now, which is why Christmas is associated with peace on earth. And knowing that this is going to happen today, I basically spent from solstice to today manifesting like crazy. Going, all right, there's a lot of healing energy out in the world today. I'm going to use this. So it was basically, I abandoned all culture and all tradition, allowing me to abandon the prejudice, the pang, the association. And then I basically manifested healing. And I did this through gratitude, through my own exchange of giving, and using imagination and artwork. And positive affirmations and manifestation. So I deliberately and consciously took a collection of all of these things and combined them together. I have Christmas music that was going all day, and I basically sent out letters to my partner that finally articulated a lot of what I've been feeling. And I found the way to finally extend to him, these are my words, these are my stories. Please don't let them change you. Please don't let them permeate your perspective. They're just for you to look at and then throw away. And my partner is one of those people who, he does better when he receives acknowledgement and not permission, but just reassurance that, we're on the same page, communication. And I could feel my gifting trauma end. I finally resolved that. And I felt when the gifting trauma ended, but there's a lot of preliminary stuff that occurred prior to this point. It was about 3 days ago. It was between the solstice and today, when I was talking to a friend of mine about my money issue. And I'm like, I don't have a money issue as far as, ooh, I don't want money. I'm not one of those persons. I never had a problem getting money. And I had a lot of other people going, oh, yeah, you do. No, I don't really. I'm a Taurus. I really don't have a problem having money. But what I had a problem with was earning money. See the difference? The problem that I had was earning it, because slaves don't earn money. And I lived for so long as an indentured slave that God forbid, I earned more than the man I was with. And women are very much raised with this thing in their minds, especially conditioned through society, that they cannot be higher than the king, cannot be higher than the man. And so it's constantly shrinking, constantly keeping your head down, and it's very submissive. And I was raised in a culture where this was the practice. And it was my friend David who actually pointed it out. He goes, I watched my mother do this. I watched her overcome it. And I watched her then teaching me how to overcome it, because I had learned it from her. And he goes, about a year ago, I finally got over it. He goes, so I recognize it in you. And he's the first person to actually recognize it in me and address it with me. And he goes, you're not allowed to earn money because of your indentured servitude, because you were a slave. And I went, that's right. I can have money, but I can't. And I have no problems keeping money when I get it. I have no problems as long as I can have the money, as long as I don't earn it. But I had a problem with earning it. So we talked about that, and I could feel my subconscious mind digging her heels in, his heels in, going, no, no. And I'm like, Rick. So Rick and I had a long conversation, and on the spot. And I would go over more of it with David, and got to that point where, again, I felt my subconscious mind just digging in his heels. And I'm like, all right, this is definitely it. It was the resistance that clued me in that I was right on the topic. So we finished up the psych work, and the next morning, all the subconscious mind blocks were gone. All the aversion I had was gone. And it's been like a continual floodgate of just healing after healing. So first there was the money block that I released on the 21st to the 23rd. And then I would say it was the 23rd that it got released. And then it was the gifting trauma that was released today. And yesterday it was the word blockage, where I couldn't say to my partner what I needed to say this whole time. And I finally found the words to say, look, it feels like we're 4 years old. It feels like we're children. And it feels like we're best friends. And it feels like we've been ancient together for so long. I feel like I've known you for thousands of years. And I feel all of these things at the same time. And I've never felt any way with this with anybody else. It's a new feeling for me, which is why it's taken me 2 years to finally explain. I don't know about you, but it feels like I've known you forever. And I watched him open up to me again. And I can feel all of the past and the trauma and the pain just wash away. And then today I was on my websites and I started writing yesterday. So the 23rd, I finally wrote, and I was writing like I've never written before. I started my novel with Berrigan, which I've been trying to do literally since 2015. And suddenly my mind, my imagination opened up and it all just came to me. And then today I had more writing. I was finally able to unlock the writing in my head, and that just took off. It was just another thing. And then I went over to my websites and I finally linked all 3 of my websites together. And the Healing Garden got a complete makeover today. I mean, full makeover. It's absolutely stunning. And I've been trying to get to this point with the Healing Garden for a very long time. And I fucking love it. Take a look at the Healing Garden. It's honnesthealinggarden.org. The website is just fucking stunning. There's a couple more words or a couple more tweaks with it. But for the most part, I'm looking at it now and I'm just like, oh yeah. It finally has the elegance. It finally has the articulation that I've been trying to capture. It's like that part of me was just contained and I couldn't get it out. It finally unlocked today and my website design just flooded out of me. The website came together. The Healing Garden came together. And I just saw this massive, okay, now you're the author and you're the actress and you're the speaker and you're the philosopher. And I suddenly realized that I had these 4 parts of me. And through all of them, in the core is my imagination. And it took a lot to finally find the author in me again. And before, I could definitely see where I was just going, no, I'm not going to be an author and I'm not going to be an actress. I'm just going to be a speaker and a philosopher. And I felt like an unstable, I couldn't. And I'm back to the defined self, how vitally important the defined self is, because if you're going to heal, you have to literally define each and every piece of you and then give it space. And that's really, truly the defined self, that you don't heal until and unless you define each and every piece of yourself, determine what percentage of it is, and then give it space. And if you don't acknowledge this, you're not going to be okay. Suddenly, I was listening to my Irish music again today. I was dancing again today. And these are things I don't do, not in a long time. And I realized, because of the way I was raised and the conditioning and the trauma, that to love a person is to destroy the self, that you cannot love somebody and have yourself at the same time. And I communicated this to my partner for a while. Like, he's all absolutely the Latin Puerto Rican culture, love it to pieces. And I'm Irish culture. And whenever I was with him, I, due to my conditioning and enslavement, completely suppressed the Irish. And then I couldn't have both. And it was all in my head. It was not something he ever enforced. In fact, he empowered it. He was like, be yourself. And I'm like, I don't know why I can't. It was a blockage. And today was the first day where I felt it all come back again. And I'm like, oh, I can embrace my Irish roots and also love him. And it was, like I said, it was just a feeling today, like this massive cap came off. And it was the last of this lawn, just from the 21st all the way up to now. It was just click, click, click. So, and then this is the best part. I was able to finally put together my price sheet. Finally, I've been trying to do that for a year. And that came together today. So I have the Triadic Healing now by budget. I finally have my full price sheet. I finally have my breakdown of, by budget. So, here's the free aspects. Here's the low budget. Here's the medium budget. Here's the high budget. And it feels really, really good to finally have all of this in place now. So it's clean, it's clear, it's precise, it's directed, it's understood. And when I put that together, I went, oh my God, well, there's the funnel. Suddenly I have, ABC just clicking right into place, and it's all falling into place. And it feels like I just lined all of my ducks up in a row. But it felt like prior to the 21st, it felt like half of my ducks were missing. And the 3 ducks that I had, they were all facing different directions. And whenever I set 2 of them side by side, the third would wander off, and I'd have to go grab that duck and bring it back. The other one would be over there. I'd have to grab that one. So finally I got all 3 of them. And then I'm like, oh, I have 2 more ducks. Nobody move. And then I would go grab the other 2 ducks and I'd bring them over, and then everyone would be scattered again. So I finally got all 5 ducks. And I'm like, all right. And suddenly they just cooperated, and it went boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, well, there's all my ducks. And it's suddenly so very clear. And it's all because of this money block that was just completely derailing all of my progress. But it wasn't just the money block. I mean, that was the start of it. But what it was, all right, I've got all this really awesome, powerful energy right now. And it was just constantly manifesting the healing. And I had stopped meditating. I had stopped doing gratitude journaling. I had stopped manifesting because I felt fine and I felt aligned. And this is where I cannot emphasize to you enough. Never stop meditating. Never stop manifesting. Never stop. Because it's like when you play the piano, the frequency changes, and you cannot play the piano without the harmonics ever so slightly loosening with every note struck. You're going to have to bring a piano player in or a piano tuner in and retune the entire piano. You're going to have to. And I finally reached this point where I suddenly didn't need to. I thought I didn't, so I stopped. And sure enough, my calibration was off by 5 degrees. And anyone who knows anything about geometry, as soon as you're off, even just slightly, the whole thing, that 5 degree is going to expand out until you have something that is so uncalibrated that you're going to be struggling bringing it all back. So I do my philosophical coffees now in the morning, and I'm fucking loving them. It's like I finally have everything together that I want with the philosophical coffees. And that's something I'm definitely doing. So I used to have, let me see if I can pull it up here, because let me go over to my places right here. This is something that I did have, and I absolutely loved it. And this is, let me scroll down here. One of these is here. Okay, that's Healing Garden on a Budget. So let me go back to the homepage. Okay, so that's going to take Triadic Healing right to you. All right, I see that. And this is on an imagination. Let's see where that takes me. Healing, the 11-point healing checklist. And I might change that. I'm not sure yet, but it's a good start. I'm like checking it out. There's one here now. These are the healing exercises. And I used to do these on YouTube, and then I got away from them, or Facebook. Yeah, they're self-care regimen. So you have your daily gratitude journal. The I am statements, which need to be changed to you are, then the meditation for beginners, and then building your bucket list. So this is definitely not a complete list, and it needs to be updated. Yeah, your self-care regimen. So I have a much more elaborate explanation on the self-care regimen. So I will definitely elaborate on this, but it's on my website. Now you can go there, and it's called your self-care regimen. And the goal of the self-care regimen is to provide you with daily doses of guided self-love and self-care. And I'm going to be really elaborating on this. So we're going to take away the I am statements, and we're going to change these to you are positive affirmations. That's the first thing we're going to do. And we definitely want gratitude journaling in there. You are statements, positive affirmations designed to define the self. And then meditation for triadic healing. And this is going to be, actually, I wanted to keep that link there. It's meditation for beginners, but it's changed to meditation for triadic healing. And this is going to be on my YouTube. And then the other part of it is going to be philosophical coffee. Every morning, for guided healing and self-nurturing. I really want to use the word self-nurturing there, I think. Yeah. And then there's a bucket list. The bucket list is such a huge, huge part of this. The bucket list is what you use to nurture your dreams and all that jazz. And yeah, this is definitely more close to what I want. And I'm going to definitely use a lot more structuring in philosophical coffee. It's off to a fantastic start. I absolutely love where it's going. And this morning I only did a 45-minute session. Usually I do 90 minutes to 2 hours. And I will be having people coming on, but it's basically covering, it's about 45 minutes where it covers the logical health. And we cover boundaries, narcissism recovery, abuse proofing yourself. It covers everything. It's all things healing and encompassing. That way you have pretty much all the tools you need. And it's basically logical health, accountability, all in one. And it's a morning show. So instead of it being about current events or the news, or stupid shit, it's focusing instead on practical healing, meditation, positive affirmations. Manifestation is going to be a huge part of it. And then we're going to be doing imagination in visionary aids. And that's going to work on basically reuniting and bringing that back. So that's all, it's all coming together beautifully. And likewise, I also have, now the membership is up. I have the membership back. I'm very, very happy with that. And I'm back to writing again. And that's such a huge, huge step forward, because writing again really is a massive step forward into the right direction. So that's something that I'm now doing for myself. And that's allowing me to take care of my own self. I cannot emphasize to you enough the importance of art when it comes to imagination and self-definition. I'm currently doing some work on what imagination does for our health. And, you know, I was having a conversation with my psychologist friend last week. And one of the things I noticed, we were talking about, I'd asked her very directly, what is going on with psychologists? I said, this is why I don't trust them, is because they know things like the stages of healing, the seed drop. Why aren't they giving us these tools? And she legitimately said, I don't know why. And I said, because these are the tools that we need. And I said, you know that people have a fear of the unknown. And yet you walk into a session and no one ever talks about what's going to happen. You're not given the stages of healing. In fact, you're told that there's no cure. And I said, you know, I remember my first day of therapy. I walked into therapy and somebody said to me, you know, there's no cure. You're going to have this for the rest of your life. I said, I went home that night and contemplated suicide. I was already suicidal at that point. Why the fuck would you tell somebody who's suicidal that there's no hope for them? Like, do you not know what suicide does, what it is? It is the point of total despair and hopelessness. And like, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill your patients? You should know better. I told this to her. And I'm like, what is going on? Either you're stupid or you're malicious. So which is it? And she's wonderful, because she's a very rare psychologist. She's imaginative, so she has an aspect, a perspective that a lot of them don't have. And she described to me what she sees a lot in the office, which opened up a third door that I did not realize. And it was just this massive light bulb moment where I went, son of a bitch, they lack imagination. That's all it is. Ignorance is you don't have the education. Malicious is, oh, I have the education and I am on purpose manipulating and controlling you. But imagination is different. That's when you have the knowledge and you have the information and you mean well, but without imagination, you lack the ability to problem solve. Imagination is the core to problem solving. You can't problem solve if you just have logic. You can't problem solve if you just have science and math. You cannot problem solve if you can just read and write. No, you can't write at all, because that's problem solving. Problem solving is the difference there is between imagination and emotional disarray. There is this concept of, well, you have emotional, what's a great word for this, Spock? Come on, Spock, don't let me down now. There is emotional chaos, or I'm going to call this a lack of emotional discipline. And I'm really going to emphasize here a lack of emotional discipline. And Spock will tell you that the opposite of that is logic. And that's not correct. Because when you use logic to counter emotional discipline or emotional chaos, that's really what we call dissociation. Believe me, I know. I spent 10 years in this state. Without imagination, I embraced a life of total, pure, and complete logic. And I couldn't feel a thing. No. In order to pull this off, there is one key ingredient that a lot of people have overlooked, and it is the third step. It is imagination. So in order to get emotional discipline with logic so that you don't dissociate, you require imagination. But we live in a culture where all we do is shut down the emotion, shut down the imagination. In an attempt to get us to obey, they took away our art. You want to know what art does? Art cultivates and nourishes imagination. And without imagination fused into logic, you cannot have emotional discipline, problem-solving skills, and you will dissociate. There are three ingredients here. You need emotions and logic and imagination. You must have all three. Instead, we have completely removed imagination from the equation. We have suppressed emotion, and we have had nothing but total logic, which causes dissociation, a lack of problem solving, and absolute chaos, which is why we have so many psychologists today. Oh, they're logical, or, well, that's it. They're just logical. So they lack any kind of emotional discipline, and they lack imagination to problem solve, to locate what the problem is, so they can go in and say, look at that. People aren't learning. And a great example of this is Alcoholics Anonymous. They have an 8 to 12% success rate. I'm going to translate this for you. Alcoholics Anonymous has a 92% failure rate. And there's a whole lot of people talking about how great it is. But there's no logic. There's no problem solving. No one is going 92% failure rate, and that's okay? Because you lack imagination. Imagination, when you combine it with logic, allows you to see beyond the box. Logic alone puts you in a box. Emotions propel the box forward. Imagination turns that box into a moldable spaceship or into a submarine or whatever you need to fit into whatever circumstance you're going to enter into. Imagination not only allows you to problem solve, it provides you with the ability to adapt. It is the core, literally, to our evolutionary survival. Bottom line. And right now, I'm sitting here with Triadic Healing, and I'm looking at the world going, well, I got people who can imagine and people who can't. People who can imagine are abstract thinkers. Triadic Healing works for them 100%. People who don't have imagination, Triadic Healing won't work. You have to be an abstract thinker. You have to have imagination for it to work. So my next challenge is finding a preliminary course to Triadic Healing, where inventing a preliminary course to Triadic Healing, where I infuse a bunch of concrete, closed-minded, emotional rejection, concrete thinkers, how to open up enough to receive imagination. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. I'm still working on that. I will be using my imagination to problem solve this. I'm thinking of my brother, my older brother, my younger brother, my father are fantastic examples of this. Because neither one of them, none of them have any kind of imagination in them. None of them are artists. None of them are creatives. They're all logical, which means because they lack imagination to properly govern and manage their emotions, they just dissociated and suppressed their emotions. Thank you, Spock. So I'm looking at this going, our concept of what we are supposed to be as a society has been so fucked up because we did not value imagination. Really? And this is what it is. We did not value imagination, and we did not value emotions. Emotions inconvenienced us, and imagination was referred to as frivol. So there you go. And as a result, we have a society where if you don't pick up art and imagine, you're not going to evolve. And you just became literally the modern day Neanderthal. Because that's really what we're looking at, is we are very much in an evolutionary schism right now, where we have a modern day Neanderthal and the next evolutionary line of the human being. And if you do not adapt, you're gonna get left behind. It was, I remember this day, it was when I evolved and I crossed over into the seventh perspective, and suddenly I could see the divide of Neanderthal and higher thinking. And I went, they're animals. In my perspective, the Neanderthal is equivalent to an animal. If anything, in many cases, the animal is far more evolved. Oh, in God, so many cases, the animal is far more evolved than the modern Neanderthal. And really, bottom line, this is what we are dealing with, is this schism is so vast right now that there are people who are very much in the next line of evolution and they're adapting. And then you have animals like dolphins, wolves, cats, elephants. And then you have modern day Neanderthals who are literally less educated than several mammals, several other species. And it's this fascinating, wow, really, wow. So I don't yet know, it's so funny because I'm back on this, studying the Neanderthal, and I'm literally studying the Neanderthal culture for the sociological purposes. An extinct species of human being. And that's really it. And it's extraordinary because we are very much looking at, why did Neanderthals go extinct? Some surmise that competition for humans for food and shelter, or evolution that selected for more successful human traits. I can tell you right now, it's intelligence. That's what it is. And that is absolutely what it is. We are looking at this massive intelligent divide. And when I crossed over, I remember having severe grief. You can go back on my podcast blog and I'll be there like, oh my God, my dating pool just diminished down to nothing. Now I don't care. But because I can no longer mingle with that species. And now I'm finding other people who are definitely my peers and are at my level. So I'm going, okay, they've evolved with me. Now I'm finding others like me who have evolved. So, and we've formed a community. And that's what's going on here, is we very much have this community. And then you have the Neanderthals, modern day Neanderthals. And it's very much like okay. And I know there's people who are trapped over there. So it's trying to figure out how to get them on board. And optional. It's just stepping stones. So it's been extraordinary. It really has been. It really has been. It's absolutely extraordinary to just be. I am so excited because this is an amazing time to be alive. Really, I'm looking at all of this going, this is such an exciting time to be alive. It's wonderful. So, but yeah, take a look at my websites. They are fucking phenomenal. They are absolutely beautiful and in order. Finally, they are clear, clean, smooth, just fucking stunning. I'm back to writing again. I could not be happier. I'm now going to take the Healing Garden and I'm going to start the website, and I'm going to start breaking her down and making her, the elegance is right where I want her. I'm just so happy with her right now. The only thing I really wish I could change, and I will, I just don't know how to do it yet, is the button color is this ugly red right now. It's not even red. I would call it an orange red, a red orange. And I want it to be my beautiful purple. Oh, colors. Background color. Well, that's not quite what I had in mind. So I just need to locate like the button color. But yeah, I am just so happy with this. I could not be happier with the overall, the beauty, just absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I'm just looking at this like very happy with this. So thank you so much. And thank you again so much for being my audience. And may the kindest of words always find you.